talking. Now what? How are you going to get them from single words into sentences and conversation with you as their teacher? You'll play with your child for 20 minutes a day. And as you play with your child, you'll think about the techniques I'm teaching you in this video to work on creating and building those communication opportunities at home. Remember that play is fun. So while you're working with your child, you want to reach one level higher than where they currently are. The goal is to go from single words to phrases and sentences, but it's also to build social engagement. If we push too far, your child may get frustrated. You want to follow their lead. If you want them to build a tower, but they want to just knock it down and crash, then that's okay. If at any point while you're playing, you or your child feel frustrated or are no longer engaged with the activity in the toy, move on, shift, play something different. Use the toy in a new way. We want to teach your child to use new words and to build positive relationships with communication. If we place too many rules around their play, they're going to give up and not want to do that. The first few techniques I want to talk to you about are things you can do every day and also incorporate in all of your play. Pay attention. Your child is trying to talk to you. They're beginning to learn to use their words. They may just use a gesture. They may use a point. They may say a single word, and you may not even hear all of it, but you need to respond as if you did, because that response is going to encourage your child to try again the next time. So even if you didn't hear the word, you're going to say, oh, wow, yeah, show me. You're going to give them something that says, I heard you, honey, and I can know what you said. If you didn't hear them and you really need them to repeat, I like to play that I have old ears and I just couldn't hear you, or that lawnmower outside is really loud and I couldn't hear you. Because if I take the blame for not being able to hear them, it doesn't make them feel like they failed or they didn't do something correctly. And it'll allow them to feel confident in trying again. You also want to make sure that you get your child's attention when you're talking to them. We are big grown-ups and we talk way up here, but they're down here on the floor. And we need to come to them. Get down and kneel, be at their level. Talk to them slowly and with a softer voice, because that's going to make them want to turn to look and listen to you. If we're yelling and talking in these really loud, big adult voices, sometimes they just tune it out and they don't hear us. So slowing your pace and using a softer voice makes them shift and turn. If your child's having a hard time turning to look at you, you can give them a cue and say, can you find my face? You can even play the teacher role that says, 1, 2, 3, look at me, and then wait for it and see if they'll shift. That's another way. By them looking at you while you're talking to you, you're increasing their comprehension and their listening skills to help them better understand language. We want to provide clear speech to model for our children. Since children learn through imitation, you need to provide accurate, good grammar, and proper sentence structure so that they are able to form those sentences correctly. The next technique is to pause and wait. When you've asked a question, when you've given a direction, when you've made a statement, wait for it. Pause and see what your child responds with. Our early language learners need a little bit of time to process that new vocabulary, to understand what you're asking or what you've said, to generate that response. Sometimes it takes a minute for them to think of the word they want to say. So by pausing and waiting, you could wait 3 to 5 seconds, which could feel like an eternity, but it's not in little people time. This takes a little bit of time for them to think about those words. If you've waited and they still haven't answered, you could try asking the question again. If you weren't on their level, maybe come down to their level, make sure they're really hearing your words and listening to you, and see if they can answer then. Another trick is to also give them more information. If you asked a question that may have been too difficult for them or was beyond their ability, they didn't understand it, and they look at you with that face, give them some more information. Expand your details, give them a better description of what you're talking about. Break things down into smaller pieces of information is also very helpful to improve their accuracy for answering and for attending to you. Next, I want to talk about 2 very important techniques for building communication, which are self-talk and parallel talk. Self-talk is when you're going to talk about whatever you are doing while you're playing. So you're going to talk about how you're taking the red block and you're gonna put on a blue block and you're gonna build a tower. Oh, that doesn't work. I gotta put this one on. And you're gonna use your language to talk about all of your actions. Parallel talk is when you're talking about what your child is doing. You're giving meaning to their actions. So your child is taking the tower and they're building, oh look, you're stacking a tower. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Oh, it crashed. And you're labeling what's going on. You're commenting and describing their actions. When using self-talk and parallel talk, you want to be sure to use short phrases. So this goes to our original goal of reaching one level higher than where your child currently is. So if they're only using single words, you're going to want to just combine 2 words. Block on, put on, and if they're using 2 or 3 words, you might build it into a longer sentence. This is a blue block. As I play and talk with children, I choose my words carefully. I start out with concrete nouns, block. Then I add in common verbs, build, crash, fall. And last, I add in some early developing concepts, big, little, up, down. I do so because I know that as children learn language, they learn from what they see. They learn the nouns for the objects that are in front of them. Then they learn from what they do, and they start incorporating the verbs to incorporate their actions. And finally, they begin using simple locations, in and on and out. They add in sizes, big and little, and quantities, more, all done. So these are the 3 categories of words I weave into my comments as we play. When playing with your child, self-talk and parallel talk are 2 very powerful tools. These strategies don't imply that your child's going to respond to you right away or that you're going to withhold anything before they do so, but it's surrounding them with the language and mapping in these concepts so that they're going to be able to use language in a spontaneous and natural way later on. These effects are not always immediate. For young children, it can take some time for them to start talking, but over time, these strategies will prove to be very effective in helping your child's language grow. You don't have to think about them all the time, every day. Try to focus and remember them in your 20 minutes of play a day. You'll see the progress when your child starts using new words that you never heard before. They're combining more words, they're expanding their sentences, and they're adding in those basic concepts. But if you find your child's language isn't developing and you still have concerns about their speech and language development, please contact a local speech therapist. I'm also available for phone and video consultations, and I really hope you enjoy playing blocks and helping your child grow.